What's up, everybody? We're getting our pullback. I mean, we've been in the pullback technically for a little bit, but it's starting to get a little bit more severe, and that's okay. We talked about 71, 72K, and I still believe that's where we're heading ultimately. We were looking at this as a 1, 2, right? 3, 4, and 5, or we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's see how the price reacts down in these areas over here. If we get a reversal, then we look at that fifth wave to the upside. If not, then this is what the idea becomes, which is what we talked about yesterday, which is we get this move down, right? Depending where we stop, it could go a little bit further. It might not be finished, but then we get a three-wave pullback, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back down to the bull market support band. Then you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a three-wave pullback. Develop a little bit of a base, test, 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 go. Right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. I mean, it's dumped pretty more than I would like for it to be a fifth wave. For example, let's go to the 1 hour here. You could start to see like we're hitting the high, we're hitting the high, we're hitting the high, right? We're getting divergence in here. And then you have this slam down, a little bit of a consolidation. I was actually thinking, well, let's come up here first and then pull back down. But it was just couldn't hold on. Consolidation and then a continuation to the downside. So this looks more impulsive than corrective, which means it's a reversal, which means the daily TD sequential we talked about, right? Remember, we had a 9 sell Saturday, right? So here we are on Wednesday, and what did I say? I said we need a 1 to 4 candle correction. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the fourth candle, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. Meaning that it doesn't mean it's going to continue down, but not stopping anytime soon, meaning the following candle has it's not possible for it to break out, right? So it looks like that this is not a 1 to 4 candle correction, but rather a reversal, right? So meaning that this wave is finished and now we're in a whole new wave. So once this wave is finished, right? So now our analysis with this wave is done. Okay. Unless we turn around quickly and hit the high. I mean, literally like in a couple days. But I just can't really see that happening right now. So if the wave is finished, that's completely fine. What we want to see now, right? Again, like an A, B, C. So yeah, there's a 71, 70K area. I'm still expecting it to go there. But it's probably not going to happen with this wave. We're probably going to need to correct in here, right? Hold the bull market support band, then come up and tag it, right? And then you're kind of cupping in, right? You start to see this here. But if we get something like that, I'm still expecting a bigger flagging out type of correction later on, right? Because it needs to, it needs to have a solid foundation here. Let me see if I can have a couple examples. I mean, you can see right here, right? If this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Similar to what happened back over here. You had a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then once this wave was finished, you had an ABC correction. You popped the high, consolidated a little bit, and then boom. So if we go back and we look here, right? I mean, you see this 1, ABC, 1. Let's get an A, B, C, and have like a 1, 2, 1, 2. I would have liked to seen it maybe get a little bit higher and then get that 2, but not too high, because then you have a more severe correction, and we don't want that quite yet. Like, for example, we want the price to flag out below these areas. We want to flag out below so that when we break out, it's impulsive rather than breaking out and then flagging out on top of it. Okay? Because then it just opens the door for more risk, right? Because when you're coming from way down here and you go up, 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 and you break this, well, now you just lost all your momentum. So it's better if you have your resistance area and you're going from all the way down here, like 52K, right? And you're going up, 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 and now you're hitting 70K. Well, you just, you're losing your momentum. So we don't want to push through the door yet because we want to reset our momentum. We want to flag out a little bit and then go, right? That way when we break out, we're not coming from way down here. Now we're coming from here, right? So we have a less of a distance to break out. So this correction doesn't surprise me at all. You can see we were getting a little bit of, we didn't really have too much divergence on the larger time frames, but we are now oversold on the 4-hour, right? And you can see you got hidden bullish divergence, strong hidden bullish divergence. So here's the low, and then you go all the way up, but look at the RSI, it's actually down. That is hidden bullish divergence, right? So what's likely to happen is, let's look at the microstructure here. So you have an ABC, right? You got an ABC, and then you have an ABC. So it could be almost finished. We need evidence of that though, right? We want to see some consolidation, maybe an impulse, a flagging out to work our way back up here, right? Because that's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm expecting somewhat of a retracement. But this is not financial advice. We could continue to keep rocking to the downside. For example, if I take a retracement, where are we at right now? We just crossed below the 382. So I wouldn't even touch Bitcoin unless we're at the 50, right? You can see the golden zone between 62 or 63 and 64K. So I think that's the sweet spot, right? So if Bitcoin can get down, now it doesn't mean it's going to happen with one wave. For example, this could come down like that, and then we come up, and then we come down, right? So a bigger wave like that, then we get down here. So that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. Now, if things change, I'll come on here and I'll explain what I'm seeing. But for now, this is still good. We got an impulse to the upside, right? And we're sort of correcting to the downside. It's a little bit impulsive, right? Which is not a bad idea. It just means that the correction might be more complex before going higher later on. So I'm still expecting higher prices. This correction, again, it's like I said, Wednesday and Thursdays, especially Thursdays, are most volatile days of the week for some reason. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. So let's see here. If we have our downward resistance line, and you can see we came right up to it, and that's another thing too. You got resistance, right? Resistance. You came from way down here, you go all the way up. It's not likely to break it because you just exhausted your momentum. And the proof of that is with TD sequential. That's why I like it, because it shows you when the trend's becoming exhausted to the downside. Now, it doesn't tell you it's a reversal. It just says, hey, be cautious here. We could flip. Yesterday, I said we had a 4-hour. Let's talk about that. We had a 4-hour 9 buy, I believe it was. So let's go to the 4-hour. So you could see we're on a 4-hour 9 buy on, for example, SHIB, right? I wouldn't trust it quite yet. To me, it kind of looks like a three-way move like that. But that's not the example. I think it was... Oh, it was theta. Okay. So we had a 4-hour 9 right here. And you can see what happened. We came down. So this 9 was not a reversal 9, but rather a pause. You can see we came down, we wicked. We're pausing out here, and then the trend continued to the downside, right? So we have to be careful of that. So, like for example, this 9 was a pause. We just paused out, we hit the high. But this 9 was actually a reversal. It was actually a pullback, and then we continued higher, right? So this, you can see that 9 buy right there. We called the bottom perfectly, and that's we're basically back down to this part of the range. So for theta, right, we're just ranging, going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, going down. So, you know, this is consolidation. It's normal, right? The question is, where does it break? Which side does it break? Well, using Elliott wave, I mean, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then you have 3 waves up, right? And maybe you get 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A, B, C, then go. That's one way you can look at it. Another way is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then you have 3 up, and then you have 3 down, and then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, or 3 up. Okay, so that could be a flat or something before we go higher. Hopefully that's not what it is, but all in all, this doesn't change one thing on the macro chart. You know, because you probably wake up this morning, or you're waking up and you're looking at your portfolio. You're like, man, Theta's down 6%, Bitcoin's down 2.5%, XRP's down almost 4%, right? CRV's down 4%. I mean, it's a pretty nasty day today. But at the end of the day, it's nothing really on the grand scheme of things, because when you zoom out, right, you know, we're still building a base. Right? We're still building this base, and like I said, it makes sense to come down here, finish this Wyckoff this spring, cupping into it, right, and then continuing higher. So, I mean, just, for example, like the other day, on the 21st, basically I was talking about this. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got rejected. Came back down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we had a 3-way pullback. Boom, got rejected. So it's very possible we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back down, right? Without breaking this low. So we have 5, A, B, C, and then we push higher and we curl around, right? We break out and then we flag out in here, and then we continue higher. And that's kind of how I'm envisioning it happening because of the Wyckoff, right? So 1, 2, 3, you have your spring phase in here, you break out, you play around, you continue higher. So anyways, that's basically kind of how I'm thinking here. Now there's a couple different variations on the smaller time frames, right? Can't get everything perfectly right, but at the end of the day, the bigger picture still seems like we're building a base, which is bullish, and I'm still expecting a retracement. So don't let these big volatile days that are really not that big on the grand scheme of things deter anything from the main mission at hand, which is price building a base, ultimately heading into a retracement. So again, right, back on the live chart, if we have something like this, we curl up, right, flag out, and then continue higher. That's still what I'm thinking here. Now, what if it's even more bearish than that? Well, let's say, again, we're coming up to the election. if we get into the election, if we're dumping into the election, and then the election happens, and that could mean a big pump is coming, right? But if we're pumping into the election, it could be the opposite. So, for example, if this has to break the low, if we have a three-way move like that, and we come up here, and then we get rejected right there, and then we keep going down, and we actually take this low, guess what I'm going to say? I'm still expecting a big move to the upside. It's just going to do it at a lower point, right? So if we have a three-way pullback, I'm bullish. But if we break the low and we come way down here, then that means I'm really bullish. Because then it's like, okay, this thing's really telling me that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think that's the count. I think it's more 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And then 6, and then 7. That's a completed crashing structure. Now we're building a base in here to break out. So that's kind of the direction. Three-way move, break out, or take the lows out and then break out. Now I'm leaning towards the first one, but if this gets so impulsive that it gets us down here, right, instantly, I mean, it could happen today, it could happen this week. I mean, we could have a big dump, and then you put your line right here. If we can't get back above that line and we get rejected here, then the other count's on the table. But until then, I'm not going to even go there. I'm just going to say, right, this is a normal move. So you kind of have three, or actually this is 3, right? You have 3 waves up, you get 3 waves down, and then you go hopefully 5 waves back up. So that's kind of what we have for theta. I mean, on the small time frame, definitely oversold. And look at this, we dropped in, and look what we did. We bottlenecked, right? You drop in, you make a top, you drop in like a skater dropping into a half pipe, right? But it's not a half pipe, it's actually a bottle, and they're just bottlenecking, and then bam, you hit the low. But that usually means the move is finished, right? So if the move is finished, then we want to see an impulse. But if we get like a 3-wave move and we start creating a bear flag, it might not be finished. But if we do get a bear flag and it hits the low, and it breaks the low, then I'm looking at as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's most likely finished. But I want to see divergence here, and then a base, and then continue. So I know it's a lot to deal with. I mean, I know it's a lot to digest, but I mean, that's kind of what the situation is, right? And this wave is just reminding me of this wave. It reminds me of this wave. I mean, you can see it, right? I mean, that's why I said I don't want to see a move like this, a move like this. What I want to see is, as we moved higher, I really wanted a 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we could have got an ABC. But we only had 3 up, and now this, and this. So let's look at that for a second. So if you notice, we have a little bit of a tabletop. You drop in, you kind of go sideways, and then you make that drop. Same thing here. Go sideways, make the drop. You come down here, you go sideways a little bit, make the drop, right? So, and then it's followed by a 3-wave move up, 3-wave move up, 3-wave move up. What do you think is going to come next? Well, if the trend continues, maybe it goes down a little bit more, but ultimately a 3-wave move up. So, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like to me. So if we zoom out, how does that interpret on the higher time frames? Well, again, if we get a 3-wave move up, I think that is going to be our drop, and then go higher, right? So there you go. Now, some coins didn't really react too strongly. I mean, look at TIA. TIA didn't even flinch. it's still in the same area. I mean, it had a little bit of a dump, but it didn't really get rattled like a lot of the other markets did. And you can see we have a nice three-wave pullback right there. So, it still looks pretty decent, right, Tia? Now, when you compare that to like Theta, I mean, you have a big drop. When you look at Bitcoin, you also had a drop. When you look at XRP, you also had a big drop. When we look at the graph, GRT, you had a big drop, right? Bitcoin Cash, drop. CRV, big drop. IMX, drop, right? They're all dropped. SHIB, drop. CFX, you got a big drop. Whatever, Synapse, actually it kind of looks a little bullish right here. It looks like that's a nice three-wave move there. So maybe you got a 1, 2, 3, you got a 4, you're back testing in here, maybe we can get a 5. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. Or this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have an A, B, and then you get C and then go. So a bigger something like that, where you're filling in those, basically just consolidating and building a base. Let's see, Filecoin, you had a drop. Axelar, you had a drop too, but not so bad. Now, remember Madic yesterday? I said, man, Madic does not look right to me. It looks so bearish. Well, guess what? Madic was telling the story, because if you just draw a line here, I mean, you can see we have a breakdown now. Now, it could be finished. For example, I just thought of something. If you look at this right here, right? Just take a look at it. And now look at Bitcoin. And I'm going to show you something in Bitcoin back in the day, just right back over here. Okay? So look at this right, yeah, I guess you could say right here. So, right here. So you could see kind of moving down. You have these big waves up, big waves up, big waves up. And then here's your line right there. And then we broke through the line. And then once we broke, we kind of consolidating. And that was the actual bottom of Bitcoin, right, before it blasted off. So this type of fractal right here. So when we go back to Madic, let's look at Madic here. Same kind of thing, right? You had the big drop, there's little moves in here, and then it kind of slows down. You have the drop, you kind of consolidate, right? You pop the high, a little bit, chill out, and then continue, right? Build a base in here. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. I mean, this is a good thing, because we're figuring it out. Yes, it's gonna probably take more time, but at least we can see what it's doing, right? And then so I'm pretty confident on Madic on what it's doing, because even though I feel like there's one more wave here, and then it'll be a completed wave before higher. So let's look at XRP. XRP, like we talked about. Now remember, XRP is still in this monster pattern here. I mean, you just pause the video and look at that, and just look at all the points and think about what it's going to do next, right? So take that off the screen. If you look at XRP, you have a big drop here. Go to the 4-hour chart. So like I said, this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2, but like I said, it looks corrective. Anytime you have a big drop and then you're flagging out. So if I flip it upside down, right, look what we have. Impulse to the upside, and now you're flagging out. So you're gonna break out, right? And that's exactly what we did, but to the downside. So it's looking more like a flat, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I mean, that's what we want. We want to clear 5 waves down, right? So that way we have 5 up, 3 down, 3 up, 5 down. So A, B, C. So 1, 2. This is a flat, right? But we need to see evidence. We want to see divergence between the 3rd and the 5th. We want to see an impulse off the low. We want to see some evidence in that. But right now we don't have that really. I see 1, 2, 3. Maybe we get 4 and then we get 5. And then it's done. If I turn the RSI on, we really need a little bit of a pullback to bring the RSI back and then have that dump. And then you have that divergence that we're looking for. So, or things could get really nasty, right? Really nasty. Because you're right at support in here, right? You're right at this support line. So if that area breaks, I mean, the next area would probably be down the 47-cent range or so. You can see this trend line here, right? Here's your trend, and then we broke the trend. We're trying to get above it. We can't do it. We're getting rejected in here, so we kind of come down, reset, make another attempt. So today the market showed its hand, and now we have a much clearer understanding of what it's doing in the shorter term. But nothing has changed on the bigger picture. So let's see if, I mean, as long as this low holds, nothing really. We'll see if it holds, right? If it does hold, then it could be a larger, right? You have 1, 2, 3. Right? And then you have 1, 2, 3. And then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the whole thing becomes A, B, C. And then you get a bigger retracement. I'm still expecting a retracement, right? The difference is do we make a 5th wave, then retrace, or do we retrace now, right? To know that, we got to look at the microstructures and things like that. But all in all, the main thing would be Bitcoin, because Bitcoin still, I mean, we still have a lot of wiggle room to the downside. Look at that's still 64K, right? Is still a good area here. So if we have more percentage to the downside, then that means, if, like I said, if Bitcoin is moving up, which it was doing, and the altcoins are kind of correcting, I said, well, what happens when Bitcoin starts to make its correction? The altcoins are still very fragile, right? And now we're seeing evidence of that today, which is unfortunate. I didn't want to, but it is what it is. Now, when you look at something like AVAX, you can see how big this line is, right? It's just up, 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 up. It just looks like to me that it's going to break to the downside. And then that's going to be the low. So AVAX looks like it needs to dump like that and then go up, right? Because, you're in this channel here. It just looks like it needs to do that. I mean, that's just the way my eyes see it. And really, because look, you have a 3-wave move up, right? And then you came down. You had 3 up and you got rejected, and now we're coming back down. So this could turn into a 3, and then you can pop the high, right? It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then ultimately, it's most likely going to break down. If it doesn't, then it's got to flag out. So we'll see how that plays out, right? But you can see we're sort of teetering on this trend line here. You can see it's, not perfect trend line, but you know what I mean. So QNT, not really interesting. Let's look at total 3 here. Yeah, see total 3, I was saying yesterday, it looks a little bearish because of the correctiveness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be a diag, which we get an ABC, right? If we can get an ABC and we can backtest the bull market support band, I'm going to look at a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout, right? So we do have the diag going for us, but if it's not a diag, then it's a 3-way pullback. So we have an A, a B, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. So an A, B, C, then go, which means we'd probably lose the bull market support band, unfortunately. So what we want is for it to be a flat, maybe a running flat, something like that. If not, then an expanded flat, something like that. So it really comes down to those two options right there. So we'll see how, I'll keep you guys updated and everything. And just like I said, be careful. It's that time of year where things can be deceiving, right? People believe it's October, and I said, I don't know, man, because September we had a bullish month. Usually September is bearish, but if September was bullish and everybody anticipates October being bullish, then it's usually the opposite, right? So, but it doesn't mean that it changes the whole thing over the long term. It just means that it's drawing out liquidity out of the market. So, just look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin didn't really flinch either. You just had a little bit of a pullback. To me, this is an impulse. And now you're flagging out here. So, you know what I mean? So some coins look like, hey, they have some more gas in the tank. So who's telling the story here? Is it Dogecoin? Is it Madic, right? Let's look at Ethereum. That's why we look at a lot of coins. If you don't own all these coins, it doesn't matter. You still want to see what other coins are doing, right? So Ethereum, it's really just building a base. It's just going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, it's kind of coiling in a little bit. But kind of see, you drop in, you have this little here, and then you make a low. 3-wave up, right? So you can kind of see that actually right here. Let's go to the 30-minute. Same kind of fractal, just on the smaller. So you come down, make a little box, hit the low, right? Now, we're oversold on some of these charts. So it doesn't mean we're going to keep rolling down today. It could take some time. Like I said, maybe we need a little bit of a retracement first before more down. So I look at it as spot dollar cost averaging opportunities, right? And that's what it really comes down to is dollar cost averaging. Even though you expect maybe lower prices, but with 1 day's worth of work, it's, to me, it's kind of decent areas. Maybe not this one. I was looking at, let's see here. Like, look at Zcash. Zcash didn't even really flinch. You can't even see anything. Well, I'm on the 2-day, to be fair. But even when I go to the 4-hour, like you saw XRP, Theta, Bitcoin, you saw them all dump, right? But look at Zcash. It didn't do anything. So that kind of tells me, well, wait a minute here. It's kind of bullish, right? Maybe it's got more gas in the tank. Maybe this is an ABC, a running flat, and now we're kind of getting ready to go up. Or it could be an ABC and then get ready to go up, right? So but it still has its bullish posture, right? I'm looking for posture, like who has the correct posture. Let's look. Yeah, look at Ethereum Classic. I don't want that. Look at that, dumped. You get up here, you dump. You get up here, you dump. You get up here, you dump, right? So it's got a different look. Let's look at ADA. Probably the same thing. Yep, same looking thing. right? Let's see, T-fuel. Yeah, about the same. Theta fuel, it's the same as theta, right? So something like that, and then continue higher. Just draw your box down here, and you can see it's kind of in the middle. So we hit the top, you're in the middle, we can come down, right? I mean, it's not really clear right at the moment. A few ideas here. We have 3 down, right? So if we have 3 up and we have 3 down, then that means we can get 3 back up and have a bigger correction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, and then you get a B, and then you come down in a running flat for C, or something a little bit deeper. But we reevaluate when that time comes. Velo kind of hanging out here, not really much. I mean, you got a 3-way pullback, you're on the bull market support band. I mean, it's a little bit of a risky play since it's, you know, got some downside risk here. I think we talked about CRV. Yeah, so CRV hit the low. You could see it's I think it took the low out. Yeah, just about. So you had a 3-way move, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we get 5. So usually you want 5 and C, right? Unless it's a WXY. Let's see if we can get divergence. We don't have any divergence. I think, you know, we're a little bit oversold. I think this is to scare the crap out of the market. I think we're going to get a little bit of a bounce before maybe going down, or we have to reevaluate. We have to see what happens in here. But I honestly think we're right at support here, right? We had a big drop from way up here. So it's likely that it's not going to fall anymore. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's very possible, right, that it can keep falling. But, you know, like if I flip it upside down, it just seems like it needs a little bit of a correction here, at least, right? So just be careful going into any short positions. Honestly, if I'm short, I would be closing my shorts right now if I'm short, which I did close one short on BOEM. I think I was trading BOEM, and I can't remember what the other one was. Oh, it was ICP, but you know, it didn't. So if you look at ICP, it didn't really dump that much, right? And then also SUI looked pretty good. It looked like a nice 3-way pullback, right? So, but again, like ICP, I didn't really get a good short. I picked the wrong one to short, actually. We had a little bit of a dump. It actually looks very bullish right now, right? Kind of looks like a diag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You hit the low. Look at the doji. Looks like it's going to make a retracement. You know, we still have this little inverse head and shoulders though, right? You still have that inverse head and shoulders. Looks like it's creating that shoulder in here. So, yeah, I like that wick. I mean, that's a pretty nice looking wick. Let's see, you go to the 7-minute chart. Yeah, you can see you had a 3-way pullback here. Let's see if it just keeps rolling down, or let's see if we can change the trend. By the time you see this is a small time frame. By the time you see it, it'll be definitely different. Yeah, we're basically in this box here, and if we break out, I'm expecting like an ABC. If we break down, then I'm expecting it to be over with, and then we go higher. So both of them are going in the right direction. The difference is how they get there. right? So that's basically what I'm thinking. So I would actually change the color. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. So is it the blue path? Is it the green path? We'll find out. This one had a pretty nasty dump. Tia. But you know what? The one I'm interested in is Tia, because Tia really didn't even flinch, right? So here's one thing. If you see the whole market dumping, this coin's dumping, they all look like they're dumping, but then a few of them don't look like they're dumping. They might have a little bit of a pullback, but they react more strongly on the reversal. Then those are the ones you kind of want to be messing with, because if the whole market is dumping, for example, okay, and this one's kind of just correcting like this, well, what happens when it's done dumping? We're going to get a big retracement. Okay, so as we're retracing in the coins that all dumped, this one actually is just flagging out to break out. You see what I mean? Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, because this could be a descending triangle, right? We could pop up and then break down very easily, okay? So I'm still not too much on the fence of it. I mean, I took a little bit of a stab on Tia, but I mean, there's a couple different ways you can look at it. Number one, right? You have a three-way pullback. You're gonna go down, or this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? The only thing that I kind of like about it is this three-wave shape right there, right? And then the other thing I like about it is what's going on the bigger time frames. I mean, the 6-hour chart looks pretty bullish. It looks a little bit different because we're kind of flagging into it. So, let's see how this apex comes in. Do we break down? If we do, I'm expecting upside. If we break up, then I'm expecting it to flag out. Maybe hit the low, then continue with upside. But man, you can't deny that inverse head and shoulders. I mean, look at that. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, we're right there, and we're flagging out right below the neckline. So if Bitcoin turns around and makes a retracement, we could break out very easily. The market's still bullish, right? But they use these big volatile days to make people second guess themselves, right? Because it's all about what? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. If you're bullish one day and then you're bearish the next day, right? That's okay, but you have to ask yourself, well, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Why is it doing this, right? So, but never forget where you are on the bigger time frames. Right? Because on the bigger time frames, I'm very, very, very bullish, because you have an impulse, right? We're building a base. Let's take a retracement, right? If this falls to the downside, right, it's going to be not what I expected, but we would know beforehand because we would break these levels, right? And then we would expect it at that time. But if we did get something like that, well, guess what? I'm still expecting a retracement. So how do you play this? If you sell everything, anticipating it's going to go down here, which I don't recommend anybody doing anything. But, how do you play it? Well, for me, I'm dollar cost averaging. So if we go up, I got some skin in the game, right? If we go down, then I continue to dollar cost averaging, but even stronger. That way, when we go up, I have more skin in the game, right? So that's kind of how I look at it. Anyways, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and let me know what you guys think. Did you buy the dip? Are you waiting for lower prices? How are you guys looking at this? And so we'll see what tomorrow brings. Let's look at the weekly chart real quick. I mean, the weekly candle doesn't look so hot. Let's look at Bitcoin. Whoops. XRP don't look so hot either. Bitcoin looks normal. So remember, when we had the weekly chart, what did I say when that weekly candle closed? I said, since you had a big breakout, the next candle is likely to retest 50% of this candle. And that's exactly what it did. I didn't know for sure it was going to do that, but that's usually what happens. When you have a big breakout candle, it retests it 50%. Right? So if we can hold that area, we don't see, this is a bullish engulfing candle. We don't want this candle to come all the way down to the bull market support band, because then it's going to look like a bearish engulfing candle. So all of the gains on this candle got taken out. We don't want that. We don't want that at all. What we want is, you see this order block here? We want the price to actually hold in here, according to the weekly, right? It's okay if we wick down here. In fact, the bigger the wick, the better, right? And then when the following candle opens, it's probably going to be, depending how it looks, maybe we get a bigger candle to the upside. But I don't even like going that far. So what you really want to see, though, is kind of like a doji candle right here. Right? Kind of a little bit of a doji. And then the following candle, that kind of tells us we've stalled out here. So actually I'll go green, and you can put it right there. Kind of like a doji. Right? And then the following candle, maybe something like that. And then maybe another one here, and then another big one. I don't know. But something like that, right? But no, seriously. As long as we hold the bull market support band, we're doing good. We're doing good. As long as we hold this low, we're doing good. If we start breaking that, then we have to re-examine the wave structure, because it could really only be a couple things. Right? And basically, this whole thing is 3 down, 3 up, and then we get 3 down, right? Or let me do that again. 3 down, 3 up, and then 3 down. And then go. That's number 1 for the bears. Number 2 for the bears, we go into reaccumulation and we break out later on, right? So just like how we went into reaccumulation here. So rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. Right? I'm not saying that's the worst case scenario. I don't think that's going to play. Unless we have some kind of deep state black swan event. Who knows? But the more bullish thing would be, you have 3, and you have 5. A, B, C, 1, 2, 1, 2. We need to hold support in here and break out. So, anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.